We met that dude, Duke the Jeweler, the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking lot. Man, Lord. You supposed to be mad.
They could get their money back was however their money back. He said, but Lil Cam Wolf and Big Caprice are the three. I'm up, I got the next, and they passed the dice to each other, but they loaded, but they shooting against them up. In town.
Boosie just put J. Prince Jr. on blast, and it's getting messy. This all goes back to Duke the Jeweler's setup, and now J. Prince Sr. is clapping back hard.
We met that dude, Duke the Jeweler, the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking lot.
For years, people were pointing at Boosie, saying he lined Duke up for the hit. But Boosie's done holding his tongue. Now he's calling names, throwing shade, and putting the heat straight on mob ties. The internet's buzzing, the feds are watching, and the big question is, who really pulled the strings that night? Here's the backstory. November 2022, 29-year-old Duke the Jeweler gets gunned down in what they called a robbery.
Any real dude that's ever really been in LA, he checked in. Any real dude that's ever been in Atlanta, he checked in. If you moving and you getting money, you gonna check in because you need to know the right places to be and places not to be. That's a businessman.
Right after Boosie's concert in Houston, Texas. Almost instantly, the streets started whispering. Boosie either ordered the hit or knew exactly who did it. Word was, the two guys who ambushed Duke weren't just random stick-up men. They were tied to Boosie by blood. The internet ran with that for months, while Boosie stayed silent and let people talk. But now, the streets are spinning the story in a whole new direction.
Everybody be checking in. That's your favorite thing to do, check in with somebody that's gonna rob your stupid ass.
Wow.
Yo, you think that guy, the guy that you don't know in California got your back?
And the spotlight's landing on J. Prince Jr., son of Houston's so-called hip-hop godfather. While Boosie took the heat, the real mastermind stayed cool, quiet, and hidden in plain sight. Now that mask is slipping, and the details don't just look suspicious, they look set up. Boosie, he was never the boss in this, he was just the fall guy, allegedly. Why is Boosie pointing fingers? Simple. J. Prince Jr. was right there. He performed that night, allegedly invited Duke, and whispers say Duke's Louis Vuitton bag somehow popped up in Boosie's house. But let's be real, that don't prove motive. It just shows Boosie was around, not in on it, and that's exactly why he was the perfect scapegoat. See, the fall guy is always somebody already drowning in legal drama, and Boosie, he had history. Gun charges, the Terry Boyd trial, his name still tied to old cases he beat years back.
Question that occurred that a certain jeweler round and got past the dice on accident and was hitting all them for a couple hundred because, right, boom. The only way they could get their money back was however their money back. Lil Cam Wolf and Big Caprice are the three designated to say I'm up, I got the next, and they passed the dice to each other, but they loaded, but they shooting against them up.
In the court of public opinion, he was already halfway guilty. All they needed was the right headline to pin it all on him. But now Boosie's done playing quiet. He's dropping names, straight up saying, y'all tried to line me up. He swears he barely even knew Duke, met him at a dice game, and the very next day, Duke pops up at his concert alone. A few hours later, Duke's laid out in a parking lot robbery. Nah, something's not lining up here. Boosie's calling it for what it is, a setup, and people are finally paying attention. Cause Duke didn't get killed in Baton Rouge. He was gunned down in Houston. And Houston? Boosie don't run that city. But you know who does? J. Prince Jr. Now even Houston locals are sounding off online, and they're loud about it. People are saying, Boosie didn't do that. This ain't even his city. One user posted, if you from H-Town, you already know what went down. Boosie had nothing to do with it. Another came even harder. Why would Boosie set up a robbery in a city he's not from? That's bold and flat out disrespectful. Folks are tired of the finger pointing with no proof. And then one user aimed straight at J. Prince Jr. Boosie did not have anything to do with that man's death. Look at J. Prince Jr. And here's the kicker. Guess who else was sitting at that dice table? J. Prince Jr. himself. This is the same guy people claim has been running Houston's check-in culture like a boss with an iron grip. According to sources, if you're an artist, rapper, influencer, whatever, you don't just stroll into H-Town. You tap in with the princes or you don't move safe. And Duke, he checked in.
Prince, over the years, the decades of doing whatever he's doing, he's been having a way of brainwashing people.
Oh, yeah?
To thinking he's doing one thing when he really up to a next.
And still ended up dead. That's not just shady, that's predatory. Because in the streets, check-in isn't really about protection, it's about power. Even Takeoff checked in. And look what happened to him, lined up. Out west, Big U's allegedly been
industry, these street homie, they're projecting these rules and then coming here playing like they admirable men with street rules and street exit. Nah, homie, them little was set up that night.
Running the same kind of game. If you don't play ball, you might just get lined up too. Word on the street, even rappers like P&B Rock allegedly checked in and still got lined up. Schoolboy Q once said it plain. At best, these rappers are getting robbed by the same people they're checking in with. This ain't protection, it's extortion with a smile. That's why Duke the Jeweler's case been screaming suspicious from day one. And then the internet flipped the whole narrative because that dice game, it wasn't just shady, it was straight up fatal. Boosie was never the boss here. He was the bait. Then it got even messier when Wack 100 jumped in. Loud, raw, and completely unfiltered. He didn't sugarcoat a single word. Wack flat out said the dice game was a setup. Duke wasn't robbed, he was lined up. And the people who lined him, according to Wack, that was J. Prince Jr.'s crew, Lil Cam and his tight circle. The same ones running a rigged dice table where the house always wins unless somebody messes up. That night, Duke messed up big time.
Junior was the father, and after your mom did her due diligence, what was your thought?
I think that this girl that had the baby, I think she used to work around Junior. So I believe bro bumped into her around Junior, you know what I'm saying?
Wack claims Duke started winning on dice that weren't meant for him, and that broke their whole setup. And when you break a system fueled by ego, money, and power, somebody's gotta pay. Duke paid with his life, and Wack 100 wasn't done. He straight up accused J. Prince of brainwashing folks for decades, pretending to be a protector, while really pulling strings in the shadows. Wack 100 wasn't the only one firing shots. Charleston White jumped in too. He said Duke's death hit different, not just because Duke was talented, but because it was completely preventable. Charleston didn't hold back. He said mob ties created an atmosphere in Houston that's not just unsafe, it's deadly. Artists think checking in means safety. Instead, Charleston says they're stepping into loaded games surrounded by sharks. Duke, he got played, not protected. He checked in with the wrong crew and got clipped. Not for disrespect, but for being naive about how this game really works. And Charleston kept swinging. He called the whole thing out as extortion in disguise, a twisted, unspoken code where silence equals survival. Most rappers are too scared to even whisper the truth.
Man,
Charleston said flat out, Duke's death wasn't random, it was ritual. Now that silence is cracking. Even 50 Cent stirred the pot. He didn't spill much, but the little he did post had people's eyebrows shooting up. He dropped cryptic clips, loaded captions, and quietly signaled that he was siding with Boosie. Then came the finesse 2x drama, and that one sent everything spiraling. Word on the street is J. Prince Jr. allegedly got Finesse's girl pregnant behind his back. And FNG No Love, he was loud about those claims, making sure the whole world heard it. And if silence is guilt, then this situation is screaming. J. Prince Jr. hasn't said a single word to shut down the rumors. And Finesse, who once praised mob ties like they were family, don't even say their name anymore. He's ghosted them completely. All that's left between them now is cold distance and dead loyalty. Fans are starting to notice the cracks. Takeoff's slaying, Boosie's public call-out, Finesse's fallout, and in every single headline, the same name keeps showing up. J. Prince Jr. The internet's losing it because the silence isn't working anymore. What once looked untouchable is starting to crumble. That empire built on fear is showing weakness. One user wrote, J Prince has set up so many people and had several people knocked. Another didn't hold back. J Prince took him out, not Boosie. And here's what makes Duke's story hit even harder. He wasn't just another jeweler with diamonds. He was a self-made king out of Chicago. No industry handouts, no shortcuts, and just raw hustle and talent.
I went to his car or something, some dude tried to rob him. Some dudes tried to rob him. I had just met dude yesterday. We was in a garage. He must have walked outside to the parking lot. We was in a garage. We heard this.
He started in the early 2000s sketching pieces in a cramped little studio, turning nothing into greatness. It wasn't long before his one-of-one creations hit the big leagues. Vogue, Elle, custom work for Rihanna, King Von, 50 Cent, even Boosie. His designs weren't just flashy, they were legacy. And that's what made him dangerous in this game. His stock was rising fast. And in this industry, when power meets independence, someone always feels threatened. Duke didn't just step into the wrong room. He stepped into a lion's den wearing gold, trusted the wrong faces, shook the wrong hands, and walked straight into a setup he never saw coming. That room wasn't just any room. It was a high-stakes dice game hosted by J Prince Jr. Sources say he cleaned house that night, running up over $100,000 on the table. But that big win, it might have been the spark that sealed Duke's fate. Right after, Duke was robbed, stripped of his ice, his cash, his phone, and then shot. Not once, but multiple times. Like somebody didn't just want to rob him, they wanted him gone. The industry still hasn't recovered from it. Duke's death hit different. This wasn't some random stick-up. This was a well-planned execution. It felt personal. It felt deliberate. And now Boosie's fighting to clear his name, swearing he had nothing to do with it. When footage dropped of Boosie's reaction to Duke's death, the man looked shattered, lost for words, like he truly didn't see it coming. And maybe, just maybe, he didn't. But now J Prince Sr. is firing back, and Boosie's flipping the script, accusing him of being the one setting people up. The streets, though, they're not convinced. Because remember, Takeoff got taken out in the same city, and the coroner's report said more so.
About him, he's a clown. Like, I love the hip-hop culture. I'm in love with the hip-hop culture. Blood, sweat, and tears went in my movement for the hip-hop culture.
Times. That doesn't sound like a stray bullet like investigators claimed. That sounds planned. Now J Prince Sr. is firing shots back at Whack 100 for siding with Boosie, calling him a clown, saying he's just loud noise. But the streets, they're saying Jay's only doing all this to dodge the real heat. One voice online put it blunt. If you think about him, yeah, he's a clown. I love hip-hop culture, but tears went into this movement, and he's hurting it. This ain't just about Boosie or Duke. This is about a whole system built on fear, silence, and fake protection. It's about power plays that force artists to check in just to walk through a city they don't even control. It's about how someone like Duke, who built his empire from the ground up, still wasn't safe in the same room he earned a seat in. Duke's death didn't just leave a hole in the jewelry game. It cracked the mask wide open, exposing how dirty this industry really runs. Boosie says he was the bait. Finesse 2 times fell back. Takeoff checked in and still ended up dead. And now J Prince Sr., he's scrambling. But if this is only the beginning, who's gonna speak next? And who's gonna disappear? If you're feeling this deep dive, smash that like, hit subscribe, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll catch you in the next one.